Everyone, this is Pharaoh Vincent, and I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a brief update on the build. I was streaming this a little bit earlier. The stream quality is not as good as it could be, so we're going to figure some of this stuff out. We're learning the new games, the new systems, and how to do things a little bit better. But I wanted to show off, so what I've ended up doing with the Sorcerer in general is kind of an interesting build. It's working for me. I'm taking a lot of Firebolt, which is probably going to look funny to a lot of people. I think a lot of individuals are going with like Arc Lightning or Spark or whichever one it is. And I see a lot of sorcerers, so everyone seems to be playing sorcerer. But the whole premise of this build is for the enchantment effect on this. Direct damage from skills apply an additional burn of 122 for up to, or for 8 seconds, right? I also have it so it pierces and gives me more mana. It's a pretty mana hungry build. I might consider using other abilities down the road to try to get that. I haven't figured out which way I want to go with it yet, so we're going to figure that out. But I completely skipped this tier. So I find that like the most of this tier is just too much mana. I was using Fireball for a while, but that 40 mana cost is just, it's a lot. It hits hard. That's the nice part. And with some abilities, you can make it go really good for like early game, but after a few hours, I just stopped using it entirely. I'm considering an Incinerate spec at some point. We'll play around with it, but I like the fire aspects. Down in the defensive tree, I'm using Ice Armor. This is just because I really like the mana regen, but more importantly to that, it's good to have just an absorb. Bam. It's up fairly frequently. And with these two abilities, you can see them kind of down below where the modifiers are. It tends to go off quite a bit. You need another point to get everything, so I went ahead and picked up, this lucky hit chance where it gives me a chance to occasionally reset Ice Armor. It's nice when it happens. It just doesn't happen very often. Again, lots of people are using Frost Nova specifically to get the vulnerable. I don't really care. So here's the bread and butter. I'm using Hydra. This has been the thing that I really wanted to try this particular Server Slam weekend. I like Hydra builds in Diablo 3. I liked Hydra builds in Diablo 2. I don't like, do not like the Hydra that much in this one. It feels like it hits like a limp noodle. It's just not very fun. But I'm using it for the burning, right? So the fact that it also burns is the main reason I'm using it, and that becomes important later on. It also uses and procs this pretty much every hit. So with 4 Hydra heads pelting away, you'll see enemy hit point bars just melt. So this isn't doing as much damage as the enchantment effect on that. Like that enchantment effect is carrying my single target. I put a 1 point wonder here because like anything beyond the first point increases your overall generation per second, but like I use this in between combat. I don't really care that much about it in combat. I'm sure if I got it higher it might be better, but I don't need it very much. I also like this because now every time I click an ability with a cooldown, aka Ice Armor, I get an additional amount of barrier for 2 seconds. I might at some point consider moving that point maybe back into Hydra, because it really hasn't been doing much for me. And then the last ability I've been using is Firewall. It does a lot of damage. Enemies take increased burning damage while I'm standing on it, which I summon a ton of these things. And I can never decide between continues to burn for 3 seconds after leaving Firewall or just getting mana regen. I kind of like it with the mana regen a little better. Take it or leave it, though. Actually, we're gonna do that thing that I was thinking about for more damage. But yeah, so that's kind of the premise of the build itself. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of see it in a little bit of action. By the way, gear, absolutely nothing. You know, they have this close to live drop rates. I think it's silly how little
You can take what's left.
you're getting anymore. Like, I know in the previous beta they had it like supercharged for all of the amount of like, I'm trying to think of the words. They had the drop rates increased. In this version, it's supposedly closer to live, but it doesn't feel very good when you play for 10 hours in a single day. Actually going on 12 hours in a single day. And you haven't seen a single one. You know what I mean? Like, I got level 25 hours in. So, I mean, I've spent 7 hours at level 20. I haven't seen hide nor hair of any kind of legendary item. So it's a little weird. I have somehow managed to avoid every creature. So good news. It's just because I'm recording. But we'll walk up to this thing and see if it has something nearby it. Alright, well. And I've been skipping story on this just to avoid spoilers for when I actually play. Here, just a little bit. But yeah, so you can kind of see we drop a lot of firewalls, and now just everything tends to meld. The big thing that we're going to end up doing is we're just going to sit right and we never leave. I haven't seen, I've been playing a little bit of Necromancer just to mess around, and I've watched other people play. I haven't seen anyone melt quite like this. So, like, I've got good age into the firewalls, and I've got a lot of single targets into the Hydra. So, like, what ended up happening is their hypnopods just literally melt. It's good. Alright, so we should get a boss here in a second. Come on, guys. They're not even getting here fast enough for me to kill them. Oh, okay. Probably because I didn't get the mastery bonus. It's fine. You can kind of see where it happens. It's pretty good. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the build. Again, you can kind of see it in action. So the cornerstone, for this particular flame build is going to be the fire bolt and using that enchantment effect down below. I will say that occasionally I will switch to the firewall one just because all of the burning effects that I have do have a chance to spawn, and so you'll just see fire all over the screen. But the flame wall doesn't seem to do quite as much damage as just the firebolt itself, so take it with a grain of salt. Hopefully this helps somebody. Again, if you're enjoying the Diablo 4 content, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a lot. And I'll see you on the next one.